everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a brand new speed build, this time doing a little bit of a different style suburban home. So this is Whitecrest Hills. It's a 4-bed, 2-bathroom build on a 64 by 64 lot in Brindleton Bay, and it comes in at just less than 297,000 simoleons. So as many of you will know, just recently we have had the announcement from The Sims that we will all be receiving a free update at around about the beginning of next month, which will include terrain tools. Now, I'm really excited about this. My building journey started back in The Sims 3, and obviously in The Sims 3 we did have terrain tools, but back then I never really kind of played around with terrain tools. I mean, I did it a little bit, but I wasn't really a massive builder back then. I just did, you know, a few sort of simple homes and nothing like I kind of do these days. And I didn't really get the opportunity to sort of play around with the terrain tools back then. So with the announcement that they're coming out in The Sims 4, and with me being a lot further on with my building journey now, I'm really excited to see what everybody's going to come up with, not just myself but everybody else as well. It's going to be a really exciting update. So just recently I've been doing a couple of spooky builds, some collaborations, and I was kind of sat down after a busy weekend and I had terrain tools in my mind, and I thought it would be really nice to kind of build a little bit of an elevated style home. And this build is very much based around the landscaping of the home. The actual house itself is probably a very average size home as far as Sims houses go, that is. And it's only actually a 4-bed 2-bathroom build, but it is a really good size family home. So I actually started this build over in Willow Creek, I think it was, and then as soon as I started adding all the rocks, I realised quite quickly that I was definitely going to need a lot more space. And in all honesty, I had no idea really where I was going with it or how it was going to pan out. I just knew that I wanted to do kind of an elevated style home. A lot of the time I will build houses with foundations, sometimes I don't use a foundation, but this time I decided to do it a little bit different and just to really focus on the whole sort of landscaping around the house. So I have to say this is one of my favourite styles of houses to do, just a real nice suburban home where I can kind of sit back, relax and just enjoy doing the landscaping. And even though this is built on a 64 by 64 lot, the space was literally for the landscaping elements. A lot of it is just basically landscaping around this house. So the actual house is a real nice manageable size, and I know similar to myself, quite a lot of people like to play in sort of medium-sized houses because it's just a lot easier for your Sims to get around and get to do the activities that they need to do if it's all kind of in a closer proximity. But this house on the inside is actually quite a nice size, so it made for a lovely 64 by 64 lot house. So with me building it over on the coast of Brindleton Bay, I really wanted to go for this sort of whitewashed kind of coastal look. So I used a lot of the rocks, but I use them in the white tones. Now ordinarily when I've used these in the past, I have used them in much darker tones, and I did have a little play around with the colours of the rocks, but I thought no, I think it'd be quite nice to just leave them white. I just felt that it fit in a lot better with its environment. But I did actually get really carried away with adding in all the details to kind of the water around the outside of the house. So I added in lots of rocks and plants and trees. I think I added in a statue from the Romantic Garden stuff pack, as well as some old ruins. And I even went into the debug menu and found some twigs and sized them up and put them in. So I had a lot of fun actually adding in a ridiculous amount of detail into the kind of surrounding water. But with the rest of the landscaping on the very outskirts of the house, I kind of left that a little bit plain because I didn't want to kind of overdo it. I knew there was a lot going on at the base of the house. So on the outside is where I added a few skill building items and kind of a little bar area and a barbecue area, and just kept it fairly plain. So with regards to activities and skill building items, I added in lots of things to do on the outside of this house as per usual. And I put in a chess table as well as an easel. I did a kind of small barbecue area with a couple of benches, and we had a bar area with some nice tables and chairs, and there was also kind of like a kiddies area as well, where I put the kind of the big pirate ship and some swings. And at the front left hand side of the house, I added in some planters as well as a beekeeping box. But in all honesty, there is a lot of space. It is a 64 by 64 lot, so if you wanted to go ahead and add in a pool, or you could even actually change the water on the outside of this house to be a pool rather than like a fountain, because it is actually a fountain that I've built. But if you wanted to change it into a pool, it would certainly make for an interesting pool, but you'd have to mind out for the twigs. So over this next week, I'm going to be looking at doing a few more different styles of builds. I may do a couple more autumnal style builds, as well as I might do a kind of starter spooky home. I think that would be quite nice. Maybe one for a vampire or something along those lines. So I'm just going to do a few sort of random types of builds over this next week. And finally, everything is done. I had such a busy week last week, so it feels really refreshing to kind of start a fresh week with lots of kind of exciting builds that I can plan. And I also managed to sit down this morning and catch up on comments, which was something that I really wanted to do. So I'm glad that I'm up to date with that. But yeah, I'm going to be doing lots of different types of builds over the next week. But at the end of this week, I'm going to be announcing at the end of one of my videos a hashtag for you guys to make some kind of rundown builds, or even it might even be a build that you've done yourself that you just want me to kind of do something with. And I'm going to be doing a renovation series, and I'm really looking forward to this. Now, a few people have suggested for me to renovate some of the EA houses as well, and I'll certainly look at doing that. But I'm really looking forward to kind of renovating your houses, because I kind of feel like it gives us an opportunity to sort of interact with one another a little bit more. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you for all of your comments on, you know, not just my last video, but each kind of video that I post. I'm always left such really nice feedback, and I just wanted to say a massive thank you as well for all your feedback to the people that I've collaborated with. Quite a few simmers have come to me and said, you know, you've got such a lovely bunch of people that are following you. Like, the comments that have been left are really lovely, and that honestly just warms my heart to think that, you know, we can kind of pass on some love to another simmer as well. So I just want to say a massive thank you for all your support to the people that I've collaborated with as well. So I'm just currently working on some flower beds around the outside of the house, and this was quite a repetitive process because there was various flower beds all the way around the lake, and so I decided to spare you kind of watching me do each and every single one of them, because they were all very similar. So I just included, I think, 2 of them. As you can see, I'm just mapping out little sections around and then just repeating the process, but I didn't include all of it because I thought, you know, if you've seen it once, you've seen it like the whole 6 times that I did it. So yeah. But I must admit, I'm really looking forward to the terrain tools, and I haven't really looked too much into, I think The Sims did a live stream and I missed it last week, and they kind of went through a little bit more in depth of the terrain tools and how they work, and I've missed it, so I don't fully know how they work. So I'm really looking forward to kind of playing around and experimenting, and like I say, I never really used it in The Sims 3, so how it works and how it affects builds will be quite interesting. Now, something that I've wanted to do for a long time is to create a house which is elevated on a foundation, but actually has a garage which is on the ground. And that's something that at the moment, unless you kind of mess around with creating an underground garage, and there's kind of like a bit of a finicky process to it, there's not really much of a way that we can do it quite simply. So I'm interested to see if we can build houses on different levels, because that would be amazing, and it will certainly open up kind of a whole new area as far as building goes. So I'm really excited to kind of play around with it. I'm looking forward to the update. I can't promise anything spectacular because, like I say, I've never really worked with terrain tools before, so it will be a kind of learning process for me. But as the update releases and I kind of have a play around with different builds, I'll look at maybe doing a building tutorial to show you some tips and tricks that I find useful, as obviously I gain the knowledge with using them, so that it can somehow help you guys out as well. A lot of the time I get asked as well what I think about new expansions and what I think about the, upcoming release of Get Famous. And in all honesty, after Pets and Seasons were the only expansions I ever wanted in The Sims, and I think it's just because they were the two expansions that I used to play with in The Sims 3 and which I found the most useful and I enjoyed playing the most. So anything after Seasons and Pets is just a bonus for me, really. And I always am blown away with the new content that they release. It's always something that you didn't expect. I certainly wouldn't have expected Get Famous to be released as an expansion, but I'm so excited to see what comes with it. Obviously with any expansion or release of a game pack, stuff pack, you get new items, and new items for me is always exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I must admit, Get Famous isn't something that it probably really interests me, but I'm more of a builder anyway. So, however, I think it's exciting. I know there's a lot of people that are really looking forward to it, and yeah, I can't wait to see what comes with it. I think though, if I had the choice to pick anything in The Sims at this point, it would literally be spiral staircases. I'm not bothered about anything else at this point. I just really like to have spiral staircases, not L-shaped ones, just spiral ones, because the amount of times I build turrets in my houses and the tops of them are just completely obsolete because there's just no way of getting into them, unless obviously maybe your sim had the wellness skill maxed out at 10 and they could teleport into it. Spiral staircases would be a wish for me if I could have any wish. So just moving back to the build, I'm working on the kitchen at the moment, and basically in this house I used a lot of kind of bluish tones, and I don't even know where that came from. I think it was sort of because as I was building the house, I had it in my mind that I was building it on the coast in Brindleton Bay, and I wanted it to kind of have a sort of beachy, nice sea sort of vibe. I don't know, but sometimes I go through phases where I use a lot of one particular colour. I know I went through a phase not that long ago where I was using grey all the time, and I don't even use grey at all in real life, really. So I just go through these phases, but with this house there's a lot of blue tones running through it. So I'd say there was no particular style with this kind of house. The interior was just very sort of homely, or homey if you're in America, I think you call it, and it's just very sort of warm and cozy, if anything. It was built for a family, so I did include kind of lots of activities and skill building items for children, and I think I used a lot of them more upstairs than I did downstairs. But in the downstairs area of this build, we've got a kitchen, a separate dining room, which I'm working on at the moment, and then there was kind of 2 reception rooms, as well as a sort of activities and skill building room. It was starting out as being kind of like an office, but then I thought I might just throw in a couple of sort of activities. I think I put an activity table in there. So I also added in the bathroom downstairs as well, and we've also got a bathroom upstairs. So there was only 2 bathrooms in this build, but I kind of felt like that was pretty much in proportion with the size of the house on the whole. But just in a moment, you'll see me add the curtains into this reception room just here, and the curtains on the right hand side are actually raised a little bit higher than the ones on the left, and I only actually noticed this as I came to edit. And I remember a while back somebody had watched a speed build and left a comment saying that one of the curtains wasn't quite lined up and it irritated them, and so I picked up on this straight away when I was editing, and I had to go back into the build and adjust it. So rest assured, for any of you OCD lovers out there, which let's face it, nobody loves OCD, but for those that are suffering, I did go back and rectify that curtain issue. But yeah, I'd say this was kind of like the main reception area, and I included a few activities and skill building items. I always tend to kind of scatter them around the house anyway, so I think I've included quite a few sort of guitars and violins and musical sort of items in this house as well. But this is the second reception room, and if you wanted to kind of bin off the piano and drag down some sort of kids skill building items or activities, teddies, whatever you like, then you're free to do that. What you do with this house when you download it is entirely up to you, and I fully encourage you to customize it however you like, because ultimately you're going to do that. But I did add in a couple of items for pets. I think it was mainly cats if anything, but there was kind of a couple of cat scratching posts as well as beds, but I don't think I included any bowls. So if you do happen to get a pet, you might actually have to get a bowl. So in the upstairs of this house, it is actually a lot smaller than downstairs because it was only actually a small section upstairs. So the bedrooms are very, very cozy in size, but they're still, big enough to be functional and have everything they need in them. So upstairs I had a master bedroom, as well as it was kind of like a twin boys bedroom. I also did a twin girls bedroom and a small little nursery, which I was kind of debating, do I put in a third bathroom? But I thought then it would only be 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So I decided to make that into a small nursery in the end. But I did go ahead and personalise the kids' room. I think I always do when I come to do children's rooms. And I don't know if it's because I have kids myself and I think, well, how would they like it? What would they like in it? That I absolutely ram them full of stuff. But yeah, I do actually really enjoy doing kids' bedrooms as well. I just feel like it's the most perfect time to use really nice, vibrant colours and sort of really add a lot of personality. So I do really enjoy doing kids' rooms. Somebody asked me actually why I always tend to do a lot of twin bedrooms, and that's just really because another bed in the house is room for another sim. And I always kind of like to have that option available so that, if your sims did want to go and have a big family, then they had the option to do so. But if they didn't overall, they could just delete the bed and there's nothing to worry about. I also like to do kind of rooms for different sexes. So like a girl's room and a boy's room, and just kind of mix it up a little bit, because you never know whether your sim's going to have a boy or a girl, so I always just like to accommodate for all. But we've just literally finished decorating our house, and when I say finished decorating, all we've actually done is we've painted every single skirting board in the house, but we've not actually done the walls. And over the next sort of coming months, we're going to be decorating each of the rooms, and I'm looking to start really with the kids' rooms, and I'm really excited to get stuck into it. And it's such a bizarre feeling as well when I spend so much of my time in this game designing rooms and playing around with colours and things like that, to then kind of implementing it into real life. And a lot of the time in my builds in The Sims, I never have just one solid colour in a room. A lot of the time, like this room's even got 3 different wallpapers on the walls. And I think to myself when I'm looking at my kids' rooms, like, will I actually do that in real life as well? Am I going to have like lots of different coloured walls in one room? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I'm sure I'll share some screenshots when it's done and you can all have a look and be a bit judgmental on it. So I'm just working on the last room now, which is the nursery I was talking about, which is quite a small room really. But I'm excited for this week to get stuck into building some different builds now all the stress of last week's gone away. My kids actually break up as well tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. They're going to all be home again. But I hope you've enjoyed this video and listening to me waffle on about anything and everything. If you did enjoy it, please give me a big thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, it would be amazing to have you on board. But I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care. Bye.